Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Pokemon Legends Arceus. We're going to continue our quest through the opening area still, because there's a lot to see. So they made this area pretty big for the opening area, I gotta say.
Leaks are strange in the sense that, or strange for me, in the sense that I frickin' hear about them and everything, and there's that fucking meme where like cartoon characters dance with leaks for some reason, and then I've never seen a leak in real life. Do they actually exist?
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do.
I think it's more of a Japanese thing because it's Bleach, right? Where the leak spinning thing. Oh
Leak
god,
spinning
that meme's probably older than the audience because that's a good old 2007.
Certified hood classic.
I'm saying this as a joke mostly. I know that you can buy leeks easily at the grocery store. I know this because I have an Elder Scrolls cookbook. One of the recipes involves leeks, and I looked up leeks on ShopRite to see how much they cost.
What the fuck is a leak?
And I'm just like,
It's those people who spill the beans on things that happen in Nintendo Directs, Sean.
Yeah, a leak was what told me that Crash Bandicoot is going to be DLC for Smash.
Oh.
Ted, if leaks are talking to you, you need professional help. I'm just gonna say, because
If a leak is like all green, would that be like the Grinch leak?
Doesn't have a mouth.
Why? Okay, this has been bothering me for 5 years. Why was it called the Grinch?
Because it came with the leak supposedly came from a place that was doing marketing materials for the at the time new Grinch movie.
Yeah, the CGI Grinch movie. So people call it the Grinch leak.
It's just funny to imagine the Grinch taking a break from ruining Christmas to leak video game details and ruin our day.
What a dick.
I mean,
because I didn't get what he wanted for Christmas.
He would do that, right?
Like, he would. Yes, he would.
From the top of Mount Crumpet, the Grinch saw it all. Saw all of the Smash players not playing their brawl. I know what they'll do if they won't play with items, he said. I'll ruin their next game. I can't do it.
I get some
head off the top of my head.
That puts me in the mind of the Joker working at the DMV because he realized he doesn't have anything else to do with his life after killing Batman. Okay, so
the first Combi you caught was female. You lucky asshole.
Oh, what is that?
There's dust between the.
Is that one of those species where the gender ratios are skewed?
You have to have a female to evolve into.
Oh, you know what? That actually makes sense for a bee.
Yeah, I was gonna say bees. There's only one queen in a nest, so
that makes some sense.
Everything else is male.
Yeah, as opposed to
Salandit, which
Salandit. I don't think salamanders are gender skewed in any particular way.
I'm gonna say it now. This is a random ass tangent, but look into nature for advice on what humans should do as far as like our own mating stuff goes. I have no idea why anyone ever thought that was a good idea with wolves or anything else. But
yeah, it's like it's not natural. Yeah, in nature, did anybody wipe their ass? No.
Look,
it doesn't mean it's a good
9
thing.
times out of 8, when you say something is not natural, it happens with at least 12 different species of something in nature. Nature is fucking chaos. You're diving into the grass because you know it's going to escape. You're just...
Yeah, I can't catch it yet, so...
The alpha Pokemon are pretty hard to catch, and I forget what specifically makes them easier. Like, I don't know if, like, you need a specifically the higher tier Pokeballs.
No, you need
the
progressive story mode. You need to get up there in levels and stuff.
Oh, so the game looks at like your rank and your Pokemon levels and stuff like that too. Okay.
It was gutsy of you to try going for the alpha Pokemon, especially the part where you walked right up behind them and threw the Pokeball at point blank range. But
it's a heavy ball. So.
Throw the bait. So I mean, I think there is, if it works anything like the old catching algorithm, which isn't a guarantee, granted. There still is a chance that he can get it. It's probably just something like 1% or equally
1%. That's generous.
Yeah. I mean, I know that I did the math on this once, where even with an Ultra Ball and 1 HP and
no.
paralysis. Catching the legendaries up through like Gen 5 or 6 is something like less than 10%, which is why it takes forever to do.
I gotta say, it's pretty novel to be actually running away from Pokemon who are actively trying to hit you.
It's honestly, I forgot how much fun that part of the game was. And also the like being ganged up on by multiple Pokemon, which happens. Like you're in the same fight with that Geodude and that Zubat, and you can get into situations where like 3-4 Pokemon are attacking you at once, and you have to, like, if you try to actually fight them, they will all get a hit in before you can. So even if you are at a decently higher level, you still probably would get beaten, which is, you know, it's stressful, but the good kind of stressful that adds weight to the exploration.
Yeah, it feels like the kind of thing that Pokemon Company maybe sort of wanted to explore, but never got around to because, oh no, children.
I mean, Gen 9 is very easy. I mean, granted, every Pokemon game's pretty easy. Like the hardest games in the series, I would say, are the originals.
Platinum's pretty difficult.
Platinum as well. But
the originals are
it's
hard, but only insofar as the combat balance was completely batshit bonkers all over the place.
Yeah, that it's not a good type of difficulty. Granted, I'm not advocating that Pokemon should be Shin Megami Tensei or Dragon Quest. You know, different games have different appeal, and part of Pokemon's appeal is that it's easy to get into.
Oh yeah, but the reason
hard.
Pokemon Gen 1 was challenging in the first place was less because it was meant to be challenging and more because different types were better than others, different types were worse than others, or like you had to find like the one or two catch-all solutions to your problems, and the difficulty was more in experimenting until you found those rather than figuring out how to win with what you had.
Yeah. And so granted, Pokemon's also a very hard game to make feel challenging without just bumping the levels up for everything, which I don't think is a good solution. But there's just also, you know, things like in Gen 9, I beat the entire game without terrestrializing my Pokemon once, because I thought it was a dumb gimmick and I didn't want to do it. So I was just like, how far can I get in the game without using this? And the answer is you do not have to press that button even a single time.
Well,
in order to... Oh, wait, no, I think that's untrue. I think
you have
You have to do it once for the tutorial for it.
You have to do...
No, not even in the tutorial. They have a special line about, oh, you didn't even need to do that. I think you have to do it for the final fight.
You have to do it for the final fight, yeah.
And I remember now because I was pissed off that I had to do it because I got through the whole game without doing it. You have to do it for the final fight with your motorcycle.
Well, it was a cutscene battle. The actual final boss was the one before that. But like...
Yeah, the actual final boss was cool, for the record. I liked that fight.
The other thing about Gen 1, though, is that the way it handled stats was also stupid.
Oh yeah, let's have a physical and attack and defense stat. Cool. Let's have one special stat. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Okay, Pokemon Company, sure. That, I mean, I guess I understand what they were going for, because special was trying to be like magic, which often only had one stat in other RPGs.
They also did stupid-ass things, like having a whole type of Pokemon where their attack type is based on the physical or the special stat, and then having Pokemon within that type whose speciality was the stat that their attacks didn't belong to, which is a real give Hope a Boomerang and then have him learn no physical attacks for half the game kind of design decision.
So here's the thing about like pre-Gen 4 like type matched to special or physical. I don't mind that inherently. In fact, like, you know, it makes it a little bit more clear which types are supposed to be good at which things. as so the types feel more distinct. Which, okay, I like that idea. I do think that it's better to have them separated. Just for the record, I've come around on that. But with that said, I think it took them way too long to, now that they are separate, to actually like take advantage of that. Because if you look at Gen 4 and Gen 5, if you look at especially those games, they've separated physical and special, right? So there can be special fighting moves and physical fighting moves. But they still designed the Pokemon in such a way that like the fighting types are still physical focused. You know, there's not a special attack fighting type Pokemon, which
I
if
think
you're
Lucario's special attacker.
is he? No, I'm pretty sure he's a
No, because he
physical
gets Aura.
attacker.
No, because he
be
gets Aura Sphere, which is special.
Hold on. Lucario, Pokemon. I think he might be a mixed. Give me a moment.
Fair.
I don't have these all. I don't have these all memorized because I'm a fake Pokemon fan. Yeah, he's a mixed. He's attack and defense. He's attack and
Special attack.
special attack and
Special
physical
attack. Slightly skewed towards special attack a little more, but it's negligible.
Not by a
Yeah.
But I mean, Mewtwo's also a psychic type Pokemon with a high physical attack. So, you know, it's just you don't.
Well, that's just because
see-
Mewtwo's a beast.
Yeah. So it's just like you don't see them doing things like a special attack focused steel type all that often. Or you know, and it took them a long time to do those things. And it made me wonder for a long time, well then what's the point?
I was hoping you'd catch that Baneri. I have a soft spot for Baneri.
Bunnyary is fine. Lopunny is the worst Pokemon ever made. Fight me.
I don't know.
IRL.
It sounds
I'd
like
say
it
Dunsparce.
should be your favorite, Ted.
What, Lopunny?
Oh, punny. Okay, I got it.
Okay, points for effort. But listen, I don't think a literal Playboy bunny was necessary in Pokemon, and I'll just
The
leave
thing
it at
about
that.
the thing about Baneri that I have a soft spot for is actually from the anime, because I actually kind of liked which character was it who had the Baneri? Was it Dawn?
I think so.
I think so. Gen 4, I stopped watching the anime entirely by the time the Gen 4 one was on.
Okay, so by the time the Gen 4 one was on, the Pokemon anime had shifted into this awkward mode where Ash was still the obligatory protagonist, but they tried to cycle in the protagonists from each successive generation, and because Ash was filling the male protagonist role, they mostly just brought in the females to replace Misty every 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So
I've watched an okay amount of the Gen 3 anime because that was around the time my brothers were of the age to watch it. So since I was, babysitting them a lot, I would watch a decent amount of that. By the way, I think it's like Cohen, I forget what, Advanced Battle. That's it. It has one of the best Pokemon theme songs. Oh, I'm unbeatable. That's
I'm
just a
unbeatable.
banger.
Loses every tournament until the last one.
So I haven't watched as much of the Dawn season as I would like, but the whole thing with Dawn in that season was that instead of going after the gyms, she was going to these sort of Pokemon shows where her.
Oh yeah, contests, because that was a thing they tried to make happen for 2 games, and then they gave up.
But they
on.
turned it into this sort of arc where Ash was doing the gyms and Dawn was doing the contests. But I think they what was the I liked the setup. I don't know if the payoff was necessarily good because I didn't watch enough of it to see that. I have better things to do with my time than watch entire seasons of Pokemon and binge sessions. I'm sorry. But
Well, that's part of the appeal of the anime, right? Is that it's mostly a slice of life kind of thing, where occasionally you get some progression, like Ash will catch a new Pokemon, or he'll fight a gym like once every 10 or so episodes. Something will happen, but for the most part, you can just be like, "Oh, it's the Ditto episode. Oh, it's the Stantler episode."
yeah, but
whatever.
I think the setup for the season was that Ash was doing the gyms and Dawn was doing the contests, but Dawn was kind of dismissive about the gyms, and Ash and Dawn had this sort of thing where they would both do the gyms and they would both do the contests to sort of try and get each other into it, and I liked that idea. I might be misremembering.
Paris
how
and
that
Parasect,
goes.
the biggest aggro Pokemon in this game for some reason.
Oh yeah, they hate you. I forgot how much Paris and Parasect hate you in this game.
This is
like-
Parasect.
Well, I
Parasect
mean,
hates you.
they're scorpion mushrooms, so
Paris and Parasect are a Pokemon that I've always had a soft spot, even though they're not like good.
they are absolute peak Gen 1 simplicity.
I think too simple in the case of them because what was the special thing about Paris in
They had
general?
Spore, and that was
were they
it.
like that was Spore?
Well, they were like they are the ultimate Pokemon catching machine in Gen 2 going on.
Yeah.
Because they get Spore,
False swipe.
Spore, False Swipe, and then you have 2 free slots open for Cut and Flash, baby. The only utility Pokemon you need.
Yeah.
And so you see a lot of you keep it around with you, and you get attached to the little guy, you know. And if you're ever trying to have it as a legitimate party member, unfortunately, support Pokemon just don't really work if you're trying to do a normal playthrough because it's just faster to spam super effective moves.
In Gen
But,
1, the type balancing was so weird around bugs and poison types because most of the poison types were bug types too,
Or grass types.
or grass types.
I think in Gen 1, Bug was weak to poison.
No, it wasn't.
But
Yeah,
like
'cause-
the multi-typing on the poison types always ruined them, you know? Because you always had to be stuck with it like a type you didn't want.
Poison was the type you didn't want because it made you weak to Psychic and Ground, which were the two best types. It's like that was the hard thing in the early gens is that being Poison not only made you bad against the worst special type, it made you bad against the best physical type. So it's like, well, why even have a Poison type on your team? And the answer is you really like their design. And
You
that's
gotta
about it.
admire the gumption of the guy who decided to run an entire gym based on the worst type in the game, though.
Koga.
Okay, to be fair,
didn't- he
Koga's
didn't
gym's
know.
annoying.
That's look.
like
He
the
tries
guy-
to frustrate people out of battling him because he knows he'll never win the battle. It's
Well,
how a
he-
ninja would play.
He plays the type the way that they're designed in that they're not about brute force. They're about like, oh, we're going to status affect you, double team, poison, bullshit. But, you know, and okay, it's annoying, but the problem is that it's just in especially early Pokemon when you're playing the main adventure, it is just easier and faster to just get hard-hitting Pokemon that do super effective moves for a lot of damage. It's why so many people can plow through the game with.
Meanwhile,
just
here in the 2020s, we have really good poison and status effect Pokemon that the game refuses to use effectively against you in single player. The champion of Scarlet and Violet has her ace be the Pokemon that, when hit, it poisons the battlefield. It's the last Pokemon she uses. Why?
Yeah, that's what you lead with. That's like the one that's like the little. It has like
It's the floating flower face
the
thing.
rock poison type.
Yeah, it's rock poison.
Yeah, I had that on my team, and I like that guy.
It's
a lot.
it's a fantastic Pokemon both for like single player and for multiplayer because it's a great setup for a strategy. So like
Yeah, it's just again, and this isn't necessarily a knock against Pokemon in that competitive Pokemon for being unbalanced in terms of, you know, the percentage of viable Pokemon is fairly balanced in the amount of viable strategies if you ignore, only being able to play the top such and such Pokemon when you're going for like a play.
It's
I'm
a
more
big
talking about-
diddly-woo.
it's the musical bug. I have an attachment to this for an entirely different reason. It was like one of the 5 Pokemon that I was allowed to use in the early game when I was playing Pokemon Rebirth, which is, a fun fan game, but very restricted.
Well, hold on. When did you get the shiny Braviary?
That's from Pokemon Go.
Oh, okay.
It's level 22, so I'm on par with the rest of my team, so I'm using it.
You actually go outside?
It's something to do when I'm out and about.
I gotta love that pun, Braviary.
So Braviary is a Gen 5 Pokemon. It evolves at like level 55 or something ridiculous, but that's because in Gen 5 you're supposed to catch the lower form at like level 40 or something.
I don't know, it's terrifying. Like, knocks your Pokemon out, then just looks at you.
You're next, bitch.
I forgot they tried their hand at having an end game level an end game level bird Pokemon, because I never see anyone using birds unless they're the legendaries. But like,
That probably just was the dragons.
Braviary is the nut. In Gen 5, there's like a special event, like on Tuesday or something random. There's just a Braviary standing around in one of the early game areas, and you can just catch it like normal. And I'm like, sweet, this guy's awesome. Turns out you're not supposed to have this guy until you're like level 50. And it's like, sure, okay. That's part of why Black and White are the best games. Don't at me. Actually, you know what? Do at me, because it's not like Twitter's going to exist by the time this goes up anyway.
Ooh.
shots fired.